So this segment has essentially been focused on Advocate Johnson signing of that summons on allegations of manipulation of security vetting. She has basically stated that she yet again acted on a briefing from investigators, which she says she had no reason to doubt.
Absolutely, Mfundo. Once again, we're back at a stage where the inquiry is really zoning in on the workflow of IDAC in order to ascertain whether or not, at the very least, there was proper procedures that were followed before these charges were advanced against some of the suspects who've been accused alongside Brigadier Mukwele. But it's also to ascertain whether or not the charges themselves and the investigation, holistically speaking, have any basis. It's a theme carrying on from when Andrea Johnson first appeared before this inquiry just last week, and we're really drilling into the detail as the Commission often does. Canny Maphanga has been listening to that and joins us now once again here at the Bridget Mabandla Justice College. And Canny, this is important once again because still the overarching question that this Commission is trying to answer is on what basis really was there in an investigation, and if there wasn't any kind of basis, what the intent actually was.
Absolutely, and it was easier to solve this question when you were just dealing with the Section 27 referral and the subsequent statement that was made by Fadil Adams, because both said pretty much nothing in terms of the grounds that were needed to support, or at least didn't constitute the requirements of a Section 27 referral. This time we're talking about documents that the IDAC, or rather Advocate Johnson, was expected to supply to the Commission, at least over the weekend, so that they could test these allegations, or at least test the claims that are made in the summons and the subsequent documentation that is drawn up in order to prosecute these generals. How did they even end up getting this matter to court if they didn't have the necessary documentation or statements or evidence to support the claims that were being made? So now we're looking at it from the vantage point of the claim of the manipulation of the vetting processes. And it seems that the statements or the backup, if you could put it that way, that we need is not currently before the evidence leader. So it becomes difficult to ascertain as to how they reach certain conclusions. And that's why you're seeing the recurring question of what should we make of this particular claim if it is found that this particular statement or document that you're referring to support the claim actually is not there. And of course she concedes that if it's not there, then it means that the case should fall away. And that is what everybody is looking to now, with this matter now the subject of review by the NDPP, is whether or not there was any legal basis to pursue all of these claims against these generals. And if there wasn't, what then is the alleged true motivation behind this particular case, where you see at the tail end Advocate Silo saying that there was quite a rush to get this matter to court, and the question is why.
Absolutely. It's a good, I suppose, segue, Canny, into that particular moment at the testimony, when the testimony, I beg your pardon, was actually unfolding. So let's take you back to when Advocate Silo essentially asked the witness, Andrea Johnson, what the Commission should do if these documents that she keeps referring to, which ultimately may contain that substantiation, do not ultimately have that information. Take a listen.
What conclusions do you suggest the Commission must draw if a reading of those A1 statements, together with the Section 27 referral affidavit, do not support the summons in the terms as reflected?
And in the absence of anything else before the date of the issue of the summons?
Just pause there. What else would there have been? Because so far we have understood that the summons arise from the Section 27, read with the dockets in Orlando and Cape Town, the A1s, and read with the supplementary affidavits by Mr. Adams. That's all we have. Is there anything we have missed?
No, I think that the point I was trying to make, Council, is we just need to check that there isn't anything else before the 6th of February other than the 27 and the additional statements. Okay. What I'm trying to get to, is I don't know whether he attached anything else. Was it just the A1? But that is all. Yes. I expect would have been there.
On that point, what could potentially be there? What should we be looking out for?
The only thing that could potentially be there is if he, over and beyond the additional A1, attached documents in support of. That could be the only thing, which might then talk to, but that would be the only other thing.
Now we've settled the documents that we should look to try and understand the basis, the legal basis for the Section 28 summons. My question to you was, what would your advice to the commissioners be as regards how they view this Section 28 summons in circumstances where all the documents that you have listed, we have just discussed, do not factually or legally support this Section 28? What would your advice to them be?
Then the investigation is problematic. Whatever follows is problematic.
And what do you say about its legal validity and everything that arises therefrom?
Short of a proper detailed explanation from the investigators, and if an explanation is given and one that is not accepted by the commission, then that investigation falls away. It has to be a legitimate investigation. It has to be supported by documentation.
All right, so there you have it, a really consequential concession there from Andrea Johnson. It all hinges on these documents, which the Commission is yet to receive, and I have no doubt as soon as they do, they'll be perusing them to essentially find out whether there is any kind of backing for the summons, as you've heard, that was issued, which ultimately led to that investigation. Let's bring in Canny Maphanga once again, who's been with us here at the Bridget Mabanda Justice College. Because Canny, whilst you and I are listening to the testimony of Andrea Johnson, there are other developments unfolding on the sidelines, in some ways linked to this inquiry. We've just learned that EMPD Police Chief Isaac Mapiyeye has just been reinstated into his job. Help us place him once again for our viewers. Remind us how he was hauled before this inquiry, and essentially help us connect the dots to this disciplinary hearing against him, which essentially led to him getting his job back.
Sure. He was one of the first witnesses to appear and discuss the city of Ekurhuleni evidence and really introduced us to Julius Mkhwanazi and the alleged reign of terror that took place within that particular period, that also implicates what would have been the former HR manager, former legal manager, and then of course the former city manager, Dr. Mashazi. Now, he is the one who testified about how Julius Mkhwanazi was allowed to allegedly run a parallel structure of alleged criminality within the city of Ekurhuleni and how that came about. He also spoke about the level of victimization that took place if you dared to stand up to Julius Mkhwanazi, and the portion in which he allegedly suffered was through the charges that he faced, which was, I think it was a sexual harassment complaint that he was facing within the city. So I suspect this is the DC that he would have been cleared of. It's something that Dr. Mashazi was also faced some tough scrutiny about, as she seemingly, it appeared that she was trying to weaponize it here before the probe against him. And when it was turned back to her as to what did you do when you learned of these particular allegations, she didn't have much of a response to offer to the commission. So that's who Isaac Mapiyeye is. He's one of the many witnesses that came to speak about that alleged reign of terror and how they were allegedly suppressed should they speak up about this particular conduct, and when they tried to discipline Julius Mkhwanazi, what then followed from there. So he is now back at work, and of course we do know what is taking place with the implicated individuals. Majority of them are now in court. Julius Mkhwanazi has a number of cases that he's currently answering to, emanating from testimony that has come out of the Madlanga Commission.
Yeah, it's amazing how much has changed since Isaac Mapiyeye was in this very room. Canny Maphanga, thanks very much indeed. And as you can see, there are multiple moving parts, and as always, we'll try our very best to keep tabs on all of those developments. The inquiry here on this Monday will resume once again at 11:35. That's when Andrea Johnson will be back in the hot seat. We'll certainly make sure that you don't miss a beat. For now, let's take a quick breather. More of the day's top stories for you here on the agenda when we return.